Hey, what's going on everybody? Shenmue here, and today we're just taking a look at the 8.3 bonus update coming April 6th. Might do a double upload today, might not. It just depends. I mean, this is so short that this isn't really going to be very time consuming. Next patch though, the proper 8.4 notes, yeah, that's going to be the video of the day because that is so long. It's going to take me like an hour to prepare everything. And get through it. But yeah, basically, with this patch, they're just bringing the best gods, I think, down a peg or two. Just giving them slight nerfs before the massive 8.4 patch. I mean, if you guys haven't read that for yourself, it is crazy how much stuff is coming. Like, that's going to be like a 30-minute video, I think. That's going to be wild. But let's get into the smaller patch notes. 3 cool skins. Yeah, they're coming in the Talons of Tyranny, and then Queen Bee Nox in her own old chest. Definitely not a little chest, though, on her. But anyways, Giannis, he's getting a nerf to his movement speed bonus from portals in the threshold. So it's the same at rank 1, and then it just decreases as the game goes on. Down by 10%, which is absolutely massive, but I think absolutely necessary. The movement speed Giannis could give himself and his teammates, it kind of felt unfair. I mean, you can't just teleport people over walls and then make them faster than the speed of sound. You know, that wasn't very fair. So, they obviously don't want Giannis to just be in Neverland again, right? But they don't want him to be the ultimate pick, basically. He already fell off a little bit with the Conduit Gem nerfs. But he's still great, I think. And, you know, just bring him down a little peg like this, a little bit at a time, because he is an awesome character, as I mentioned. Really creative and fun character. So I don't want him to be terrible, but he definitely did need a little bit of a nerf. I think this is a good way to do it. So suke yomi, the boy himself, told you guys he was still OP. So they're just decreasing his base damage a little bit on his 1 by 10 damage from every level, which I think is really helpful, especially early game. That's going to impact his early game a lot. Just the fact that he can just guanyu, and he does the initial 1's damage, and then the auto attack is pretty much guaranteed right after that because it's so big. You can't really miss it. I mean, I could miss it, but that's me. So just bringing suke yomi down a little bit early game, especially also with the 2 nerf. They're not nerfing the first 2 swings of his 2, but they're nerfing the final hit of his 2, and I think that's fair. That ability it does like 600 damage or something, just base. So I think bringing it down a peg is a good call. It's only down by 10 damage, but they don't want suke yomi in the ground. I mean, he can. There are definitely matchups where he just gets shit on, so they don't want him to be terrible or anything. So next up, Guanyu. Ugh, he has been so annoying this season. So another character that it feels like they're not trying to over nerf, but I think this will actually affect Guanyu pretty hard. Increasing the cooldown on his 1, his heal, and his dash is 2. I think that's actually going to be really effective against Guanyu. Because obviously he already has a passive where his cooldowns get reduced, he rushes CDR anyways, so I think hitting his cooldowns is probably the best way to start trying to take the character down a peg without completely dismantling him from the game. I think he'll still be great, but I do think this is going to help him out a lot in terms of, well, help us against him, I guess, like trying to beat him down early game, which is pretty much the only time he's where you're actually able to deal with Quan is early game and maybe like hyper late game. So, helpful. Little, you know, baby steps, right? Alright. Next up, Aphrodite. Increase the cooldown on her birds from 12 to 14. Probably not where I'd like to see it hit. I mean, I think you gotta hit the scaling on her 3, both in terms of the damage and the heal. I think the scaling needs to go down. It's a little bit too high, particularly if Rod's going to be staying in the game in his current state, and Doom Orb's going to be at least decent. I think you need to hit the scaling on her 3, in my opinion. But this is also a good way to hit it. I mean, just make it come up less often is another good way to hit it, but you're going to be getting CDR anyways in Afro, and the thing is, if the ability's OP, you can make the cooldown 16 seconds, and it'll still be really effective. So... Next up, Apollo. So, oh, this is actually a revert. Okay, yeah, on the buff on his stupid protections. I don't know why he gets protections after using his 2. I mean, isn't he already really safe? You don't really need to give him protections. Like, having a Mez, a dash, and a global ultimate, I think he's safe enough, right? I don't think you need protections. But yeah, basically... They're decreasing the protections you get from it. Physical protections, you don't get magical protections. That was back in like season 1 in the open beta as well. When he got magical protections too, that was a thing. I don't want to talk about that, but he still gets a ton of physical protections, to be fair. And the Mesmerize is still 2 seconds. I mean, this is going to hurt it at early levels for sure. 1.2 seconds with DR as well. If a target is DR'd and you Mez them, it's really not going to do that much. But it's still a 2-second Mez on a Hunter. I don't really like that. But, I mean, hey, they want to keep... well, in my opinion, something's got to go, right? Either you give him both types of protections on the 2, or you take away the Mesmerize, or you take away the protections, right? I don't think he should have both on one ability. He's already pretty safe, so... I don't know. I don't know what to do about Apollo, because, like, he was so bad for so long. Well, that's the thing. People say he was really bad. I don't think he was ever terrible. People would put him, like, low B, almost C tier sometimes in some patches, and I'm just like... Okay, he's not that bad. I mean, he always had the split push potential. He always had the 1v1 potential, right? That never went away, and then they just started buffing him like a madman, and now we're here. I mean, obviously, Mannequin Apollo was a whole different beast. We don't talk about that anymore. That wasn't very fun. You know, I think he just got overbuffed, and now we have to look at, is his kit the problem at this point, not the numbers themselves, right? Is he too volatile with this set of abilities, and do we need to change something about them? Right, like, is a Hunter having a 2-second Mesmerize, you know, balanced, or him having protections on the 2 as well? So he basically wins every single trade ever in history. But I mean, that's just me. That's how I feel about it. So let's move on to Nemesis. A slight but also big nerf. So they hit her shield, and it basically went down from 500 health to 420 health. I mean, that's the perfect number, of course, 420 to move the shield to. But it is 80 health down. Of course, you can see as we level the ability, the numbers decrease. Oh my goodness, what's the word? There's a word for it, but I don't know the word. Basically, it goes down by 20 every single level. So at the in the early stages of the game, when the shield is still low leveled, I mean, basically, well, honestly, yeah, I think only the first 2 levels you're not really gonna feel that. But then levels 3, 4, and 5, you're really gonna. I think you're really gonna feel that nerf. But yeah, I mean, a 500 health shield wasn't. Not necessarily OP, but it was just an extra thing that was just like, well, that wasn't particularly fair. I couldn't deal 500 damage quicker than she could one-shot me. So, it's like Apollo's 2, right? Like, maybe it's a little too bloated in the sense that it gets shit on by hard CC, right? Like, literally, it gets eliminated by hard CC. That's the sort of balance idea of it, is that it gets destroyed by hard CC. But I mean, like, you still get the heal go through and things like that. Like, on a one-shot style of assassin like Nemesis is usually, I know she used to be a shredder, but now she's more of a one-shot type of assassin. You have to ask, you know, what should the shield do? Should it be eliminated by hard CC but get rid of the heal, or still heal you but doesn't get destroyed by hard CC and just bring the health down? Because, I mean, you don't want one ability to do too much or get eliminated by too much. So, bit of a snafu with this character. Because, I mean, she could just run wild on you, and then, like, you have a fed assassin, a fed one-shot assassin, that then has a shield on top of herself. So, yeah, that's a thing. But, yeah, you know, I think that's going to wrap this up. I do like all these changes. I know I talked a lot about, like, you should just revert the character. You should just rework the character. I mean, reworking characters is extremely volatile, extremely difficult. I'm not saying they should definitely do that with Nem, definitely do that with Apollo or anything. I actually really like all these changes. I think they're all really solid. I'm just giving my thoughts and opinions on where we could go from here, because I think this is a good idea in the bonus balance patch. Just take all the this isn't all the top tier characters. Take most of the top tier characters down a peg or two. Not over nerf them really. Just take them down a little bit, make them a little bit easier to deal with. I think that's fine. definitely. But in the long run, you need to see bigger changes, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying in this bonus balance patch you should see an Aphrodite rework or a Guanyu rework. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that. So, I want to make that clear. I like these patch notes a lot. Really solid bonus patch notes. I think bonus notes should be something like this. Just take the OP stuff down to peg and don't try and do too much all at once. I think these were very fair nerfs all around the board. And yeah, thanks for watching.